Well, hello again, and today I'm back in one of my favourite parts of the country on this beautiful sunny September morning here in Scotland. Welcome to the Scottish borders. I'm only a few miles from the market town of Kelso here and a stone's throw from the English border. The structure you can see behind me is a folly built in 1789, but it sits on the site of an ancient medieval fortress which has a story or two to tell. Welcome to Hume Castle. The word Hume comes from an Old English word hom or hjom, meaning rocky outcrop or simply height. And in this case, it's very descriptive because we're about 750 feet above sea level here. That made this a fabulous vantage point, especially in the one-time lawless lands of the Scottish borders. And it's from here the Hume clan take their name. Let's go inside and find out some more. The lands here were originally granted as a dowry in the early 13th century and have been in the ownership of the Hume clan for centuries. This rocky outcrop provided the perfect position to be a significant fortress in the policing of the eastern marches of the Scottish borders, and it changed hands many times between the Scots and the English. With our view sweeping down to the Tweed Valley, with the Cheviots to the south, past the Eildon Hills to the west, and north to the Lammer Muirs, it's an obvious key position for a fortress visited by some major players in Scottish history. In 1460, King James II of Scotland visited Hume Castle before besieging Roxburgh Castle not far from here. Roxburgh was the last stronghold of the English in Scotland at that time. Unfortunately for James, during that siege, his favourite cannon, known as the Lion, exploded not far from where he was standing and killed him stone dead. His grandson, King James IV of Scotland, visits Hume Castle in 1513, just prior to the fateful Battle of Flodden, which took place not far from here, just across the English border. On the 9th of September, his army met the army of King Henry VIII, a battle which would prove disastrous for the Scots. 10,000 Scotsmen lost their lives that afternoon, including the king, and around 4,000 Englishmen in a battle that need never have happened. On the battlefield that afternoon was Alexander, 3rd Lord Hume, from this castle, fighting on the side of the Scots, who controversially leaves the battlefield early. Now, there is a legend associated with this castle that Alexander removed the king's lifeless body from the battlefield that day and hid it in a cave off a water well here at Hume Castle. Now, history has really discounted that legend, but in the 18th century, a skeleton wearing a chain around its waist was discovered here in a cave off the water well at Hume Castle. That skeleton is long gone, so I guess we'll never know who it belonged to. In 1566, Mary Queen of Scots herself enjoyed some hospitality here at Hume Castle during a trip to the Borders area to reinforce her authority here. During that trip, she fell ill on a visit to Hermitage Castle and nearly died. A worse fate was to befall her at the hands of her cousin, Queen Elizabeth I of England, in the years to come. The castle is almost completely destroyed eventually in 1651 by the army of Oliver Cromwell as it makes its way northwards. At the end of the Jacobite rebellions in 1746, the castle falls back into the ownership of the Hume family and their descendants. The exaggerated castellations we can see in the folly as it stands today were put there so it could be seen as a castle from the family seat at Marchmont House, a stately home, 8 miles to the northwest. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.